Every now and then I get what can only be described as this insatiable desire to sew. Like when I see a certain project pop up on my Twitter or like my Instagram, I just have this deep feeling inside where I'm like, I have to make that. That's pretty much how all of my projects are birthed, and this particular time around, it was this DIY tie-side tank top that I just knew I had to make. And one of the main reasons is actually because I have a super similar fabric to the one the girl used in this video. And I know the whole point of sewing is that you can use any print you want. I don't know, seeing that check print in action in that tank, I just loved it so much, and I knew I had to make it. This is not the first time I've seen this kind of style of tank before. I want to give credit to the original creator, who I believe is Steph Time. That was the first time I kind of saw this style of top. So I'm going to be doing mine a little bit differently, but it's going to be kind of like a combination of the two. So I was just about to get started with this project until I realized this would be the perfect project for an opportunity to make it reversible. I think if we make one side checkered and one side just plain black, it would be so much more wearable. So that is the plan. The only problem is I don't have any plain black fabric right now, meaning that we're gonna have to take a little trip to the thrift store and see what we can find. And it's gonna be closing in a couple hours, so we need to head there now. So I'm back from the thrift. That was surprisingly extremely successful. Like literally the first piece of material that I looked at was perfect for this project. And instead of getting like a whole ass bed sheet or like a whole thing of material, I found these pillowcases, which is honestly gonna be a lot better because it's kind of just the perfect amount of fabric that I need. So I won't have like a ton extra left over. The pillowcases are even vintage, so no complaints. And if you recognize this fabric, it's because it's the same fabric that I used to make my baby doll dress. So I had a little bit left over, like just enough for this project. So I've got it all set up here. As for the pattern, Steph Time sells her own pattern. And in the other video, the girl made her own pattern, but I'm too lazy for that right now. So we are doing the next best thing and following a pre-made pattern. I just picked this one up at the thrift store like a few weeks ago, and I just so happened to find the perfect template for a tank top. And the reason I was leaning more towards a pre-made pattern rather than creating my own is because I really want this top to have darts. In the TikTok Instagram reel, the girl did not add darts, and I feel like, especially if you have any sort of chest, you need the darts to add some shape to it. So this pattern's ready to go. Let's cut out our fabric. So the first thing I did was cut out my patterns, starting with the front and back pieces of my plaid fabric, and then again with my black fabric. Once it was all cut out, I marked where my dart needed to go with pins, and then later drew them in. I've got my pieces right here. I went ahead and drew the darts on here. The only issue I'm facing now is, what do you think would look better? The plaid top with black ties or the black top with plaid ties? I feel like that could be a fun little accent for the black top. Or do we want to keep the black side just completely plain? And even though the plaid side would have black ties, it would still work. I'm gonna take my time and think about it while I sew in the darts. So let's do that. Here I'm just following the line I traced and sewing that dart down. Once that's all sewn, I went in with my iron just so that the darts can lay nice and flat. And while we have the iron out, I just went ahead and started to create my little ties, first by folding the short edge down, ironing it, and folding it once again so that the ends of our ties are nice and neat. Then I got started on the long sides by marking the center point, folding the edge inward, and ironing that in place. Doing the same thing on the other side, and then folding the whole thing in half. Once it was nicely ironed down, I just pinned it all in place. Okay, so it's been a couple days since the last time I talked to you guys, but I officially have all the pieces cut out, ready to go. The darts are nice and in, and I did have some time to think about what color I wanted to do for the straps. At one point, I was like fully convinced I was gonna do black straps, but the more I thought about it, let's just stick with the original plan. The whole point of why I wanted to make this top was for the plaid side, and the black side was kind of just an afterthought. So we are gonna be going full plaid. I already prepped all of the ties right here. They just need to be sewn. That way this will kind of be, you know, the front main color of the piece, and then if I do decide to wear it on the black side, I think it'll be fun to have, you know, a little bit of that plaid accent there. Our next step is assembly, which this definitely is going to be 10 times more difficult because I want to make this fully reversible. I think the first thing we need to do is take our like colored sides and sew those right sides together at the shoulder seam. Honestly, I'll be very surprised if I get the order of operations correct on the first go. So let's just see how this goes. We'll most likely have to do some seam ripping at some point. It's fine. So laying the right sides together of our like colors, we are just pinning them in place at the shoulders and then just giving them a quick run through the machine. And while I was at it, I sewed down our ties. Okay, so I just finished sewing the shoulder seam, so I just wanted to quickly try it on and see where we're at. And I'm really liking the shape of it with the darts and everything. The cut is looking really good. I am just noticing though that there's a lot of extra fabric here, which I feel like is most likely going to be a problem. So we may have to trim some of this excess later, especially because this is a tie top. If anything, it should be a little small so there's an opening. But yeah, it's super weird because the pattern that I used was already pre-cut, and the person who used it before, according to the chart on the back, was technically like one size smaller than me. So I was expecting this to be on the smaller side, not on the bigger side, but I don't know. We're gonna find out. Next up, you need to take your two colors and lay them out right sides together so that we can pin them at the neckline. Once that's pinned, we can just sew it all in place. So I just finished sewing all the pieces together at the neck hole, and basically what we're gonna do is bring one of the colors of fabric into the hole, and then we're gonna perform some magic. So let's just go ahead and do that. And dare I say, guys, I don't think I'm gonna have to seam rip for any of this project, knock on wood, but I think it's actually going pretty smoothly. Our shirt is really starting to take shape. Okay, before we do our magic trick, I've just been like sitting here contemplating for the past 20 minutes, trying to figure out how short I should crop this, because I always knew I was gonna crop it a little bit compared to the original pattern, but I don't know how much. Like, am I planning on wearing this with more like high-waisted jeans? Do I want to go a little longer to have it be more versatile? But I think ultimately I like a bit more of a cropped look, and I think I'm gonna get the most wear out of it that way. So we're gonna cut 2 inches off the bottom just to make it a little bit shorter. And this part is so scary because I've already put in so much effort into this piece. So if I fuck it up now, it's not gonna be good. Okay, you know what? That actually wasn't that bad. I'm feeling good about it. So now is time for our magic trick. Okay, basically our predicament here is that we have all these nice seams here, right? But if I were to just like sew the edges here, then we'd have like raw seams here, but like good seams here. Like, it's not gonna work. So in Steph Time's video, she did the burrito method where you basically, am I even doing this right? You roll the piece up like this, and then you take either side and flip it over and then connect it like that. I've never done this before. I just watched her successfully do it, so I have faith, but that's basically the plan. I'm gonna redo this better though. So recap on the burrito method: tightly fold one side of your garment inwards, and once you reach the end, you can separate your raw sides, flip the whole piece over, and join those right sides together so that your rolled fabric is encased inside. At this point, you definitely want to add your ties, so just slide them in and pin them down the sides. And then once it's sewn, all you have to do is flip it inside out. Alright, so I just finished doing the burrito method, and like, I'm surprised it actually works so well. I always knew what the burrito method was, but I never knew how to do it, and my mind is just blown. Like, this is my new sewing tool. But as you can see, we basically finished off one side of the top, whereas this side of the top is not done. So we're gonna repeat the burrito method again, this time on the other side. So we're just gonna roll up the edges that are already finished, nice and tight, flip one raw edge over, flip the whole thing around, and then just connect it together and pin it. And then once it's all pinned, we're just gonna sew that edge again, but this time we're actually gonna be sewing the bottom part of one of them and then almost all of the bottom part of the other one, just leaving a little bit of an opening so we can flip it inside out. So like I said, just sewing along the entire edge, this time starting at the bottom. And then leaving a small opening so that we can flip it inside out. So it's been a couple of weeks and you might be thinking, Alicia, what happened? Why is your shirt not done? Like, we just saw that you were finished it and like now it's all in pieces. Basically, I finished the top, I tried it on, and it was way too big. I definitely should have taken that foreshadowing and I should have trusted my gut a little more because yeah, it was definitely way too big. That pattern really did me dirty. I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to take it all apart, take it in, put it back together, be a little sneaky, no one's even gonna know. And then I realized I don't have any more fabric left. And in order to take the existing fabric in, there'd basically be a big seam running down the front and the back, and I just like did not want that. I thought it would just look really terrible, so I needed to come up with a new game plan. So we're basically completely changing this project. I mean, not completely, it's still gonna be similar, but I was kind of thinking, okay, what else can I do with this top so that it has an opening down the front? And then I remembered the Ganni top. You know, the top that everyone's been thrift flipping and making? It's honestly really, really similar to the one I was trying to make. You know, it has like all the ties in the front, and the one I was looking at is like completely open in the front. So that gave me the opportunity to like cut some extra fabric out the middle so that we have basically 2 panels on the front. So it's almost like a little vest. So that is the plan. We're scrapping the first idea, which is kind of sad because I really liked it. But I don't know, this one might turn out even better. I am debating if I want to add the peplum part to it, just because me personally, I don't really like the peplum look, but it kind of is like a main part of the Ganni top. I also ran into a problem where I realized like the order of operations of sewing this thing was going to be totally different than the last one. But then I realized this is basically like a little reversible vest. And then it clicked and I remembered I've actually made this before, basically. So I went ahead and watched my own tutorial and I think I know what I'm doing. I think this project is going to be saved, but you know, sometimes things just don't go to plan and I feel like I'm salvaging it in the best way possible. So let's see. So instead of just doing an entire repeat tutorial, I'm just going to link you guys to my reversible vest video. So if you guys do want to make this style of top, you can follow those instructions super easily and it'll come out exactly the same. So we're just gonna go ahead and speed through these next steps. The only difference is gonna be adding the ties so that they match the Ganni style. So I'm just choosing the placement, making sure they all line up, and pinning them in place. Then I can take them to the machine where I'm basically just top stitching a little rectangle so that they stay in place. And of course, repeat for all of the ties. And then the very last thing I did was hand stitch the hole closed. This was the little opening that we needed in order to flip the right sides out. And once it's all closed up, the top is complete. The top is finally complete. It only took me probably a month in the making, putting it together when I found the time. And considering this was supposed to be an entirely different top than what I planned for, I'm honestly really, really happy with the results. I think it turned out so cute, and dare I say, I think I might even like this design better than my original plan, because as cute as it was having the bows on the sides, when I did try it on before I completely undid it, it was honestly like really uncomfortable because your arm rests there. So like, I don't know how practical it would have been. And I feel like this is a lot cuter. As you can see, I did decide to not go with the peplum, which I'm happy about because it would have been extra work. And like I said, I don't even know how I feel about the peplum. So I think that was a good call. And it also makes it look a lot more similar to my original idea, which is what I liked in the first place. So it all turned out in the end. I absolutely love the bows. I think it's so fun, and like I know bows are a huge trend right now and it's not something that I really care for, but I feel like this is a version of the bows that I can really appreciate and get into. So I'm glad I can participate in that trend now. I absolutely love the plaid. I think it looks so good and honestly really close to the actual Ganni top. You know, it is unfortunate that you can kind of see my bra peeking through. It definitely looks better without the bra, but I'm just not comfortable enough to show off my side boob. So whatever, you just gotta put up with the bra. And yeah, I absolutely love the length. I feel like it's just perfectly cropped, so I can wear my high-waisted shorts with it. And I think it looks so cute, and it's just like a little more like fancier of like a summer tank top. It technically is reversible as well, so I can wear it on the black side, but honestly I feel like I'll never wear it on the black side. I feel like the plaid side is really where it shines, but I'm still glad that it has, you know, a nice lining to it. So yeah, if you watched till the end, thank you for sticking along this journey with me. For a top that was supposed to be really simple, it definitely was one of the more complicated sewing projects I did, but I feel like this video can kind of give you two different options and show you two different tops that you can make that are similar, but you know, a little bit different. As for the original top, I might recreate it in the future with like a different print that I have, but I feel like this is satisfying my needs for now. I think I need a little break from sewing for now, but you guys should definitely stay tuned because the next project I make, I really want to use this beautiful strawberry print fabric, and I want to make like another cute little summery top, so definitely subscribe if you want to see more sewing content. And as per usual, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next week.